Well, we moved 3 times to try and pull this off. I don't know. We have some distraction in the background. I apologize. Just a minute. Actually going to have, yes, another Tech Tuesday today, I think. Right?
Whoa. What y'all waving at me for?
Yeah. Chuck's in Studio B. We're a little busy right now.
Yeah, we're in Studio 1B.
Right.
Looks to me like a bad idea getting worse.
Looks to me like you're right. We're trying so hard to keep content rolling for you guys, but there are some obstacles in the way here. I probably should pause this, huh?
Well,
yeah.
And now, if you would like to see what not to do, spin the camera around. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't have a zoom, so they can't really see and appreciate, but we'll narrate. How many technicians does it take to change a light bulb?
1, 2, 3. Well, there's 4 down there now, 2 left, so there was 6.
Right. And they're not changing a light bulb.
No.
No. They're taking a big rack off a pallet, and they're not taking it off. That's what's causing so much noise.
Well, they've tried.
This is what they call vlog fill material right here. Yeah. I mean, this may or may not make the channel, you know. Talk about keeping it real. Real dumb. Right. Well, I guess I'll take a seat. Hey.
Yeah, I don't know if they look at it long enough.
I know.
They think it's going to jump off.
I noticed that. They keep looking at it, so we're looking at them as we look at you guys. Let's face it, we're going to get some banging and clanging going on.
Oh, yeah.
We are in a shop. And we are doing another Tech Tuesday. How about that, Chucky?
What's up? I thought we were going to do this like once every 2 weeks or something.
What I said is we will do one when we can.
Okay, do you not realize we've had 4 trucks roll in here with PDIs in the last 7 days?
We've been really busy.
I'm just saying.
But I'm trying so hard. Tech Tuesday really is, I think, one of the features on the channel that people really look forward to.
Well, I look forward to it as well.
Well, I have fun with you, but I mean, these are real questions from customers, real situations with their cars that other people can learn from and relate to. So, yeah, the Tech Tuesday thing, I try to make that commitment. I mean, and we're running and gunning right now, filming this far in advance of Tuesday's show, just to make sure that we have one for you. We got so much going on behind the scenes besides the preps and things like that. We talked about last week that you were going to put new rotors and brake pads on my car.
Correct.
And because of that storm that was going through the country, we got 3 rotors.
Yeah, but we got all the brake pads.
But there's 4 on the car. So it's
details. The devil's always in the details.
Yeah, so no, we didn't. There's a reason I wanted those on. We'll talk more about that in a future upload because that didn't happen. And that's a bummer. So there's always some kind of a parts issue and constraint.
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting it off.
Look, they realize
Let's clap. Let's clap if we could, yeah. Watch out, we might get something thrown at us. Last week we also talked about me selling my car, and for all the smart-ass comments out there, I deleted those. Sorry, our audience doesn't need to read that crap, and those are people that will never buy a car from me anyway, so who cares what you think? I mean, it's just like, come on, guys. I said 86.9 or best offer on that car for my 2021 Corvette.
Yeah, I've got a best offer. I don't think it was,
We heard your
No, I offered him 68.9.
Right. And then the other 19, you're going to pay for that cash check or credit card. How are you going to handle that part?
I'm going to put it on your account.
No, not my account, brother. So I appreciate the consideration on that car. I'll be as flexible as I can with you guys. I want to be the one that sells and represents that car. For the other guys that made some nasty comments last week, and Chuck said, Rick, don't address it. But I got to address it so you guys understand. I am watching. We are engaging with you, good or bad. But the people that said, and we've talked about this countless times,
sure,
when you're working on my car, people say, oh, that car's been abused, that car's been abused, oh, that car's been jumped. In case you missed it, there's a video link down below. I'll put one up in here. When we did the Evel Knievel thing, the car never left the ground. The video's titled, first we did it, and then we did what did we do, and we talked all about that. That was all fun and entertainment. But some people are saying, oh, that car's been abused. I've spared no expense in having him maintain this car.
Got the service records to prove it.
I've bitched and moaned about it. Today it's not been cheap, but I've been doing the right thing. for the car, for myself, thinking I was going to keep it longer, but now I feel even more self-conscious about the next owner. That's why I'm doing new rotors and brakes. We're going to do the transmission fluid thing when I got back from Houston. We're going to share that with you guys. Please, it's driven the way that the car was intended. Cars, and I told you just this morning, I said, you know, it's like I almost hate to get rid of it because it's really been a good car, and I've maintained it. You said, Rick, you need this, Rick, you need that. And I did whatever you told me I needed, I did.
Not only that, first of all, the car went through the break-in period properly, like it was supposed to.
Good point, yes it did.
It's been serviced and maintenance, over-maintenance, because of the way you've been driving the car.
Correct.
Compared to most other cars. And point of order, the tires have left the ground. They do every time I put it on the rack. But that's the only time they leave the ground.
I'll do anything to make you guys laugh.
Sure.
To keep you entertained and really going back to just, you know, as you're teasing the Evel Knievel video.
Right.
I never told you. Thanks. I never told you, but it was incredible expense to do that. But again, that was my commitment to the audience, thanking everybody and so many people that were so generous to me for the launch of my first ever Corvette. I'm trying not to let that bother me. I apologize, but that freaking. Okay, so we're going to try to make it Tech Tuesday until I turn the camera on and start rambling. But I do love talking to everybody. I love talking to you
absolutely.
too. I got a couple today and I got one, so rock and roll, brother.
This one comes from Gary. Says, hey, Rick, and of course, Chuck, the star of Tech Tuesday. Been a subscriber for
notice that he paused there for a second. Of course. He just wanted to make sure everybody knew that's what it was. Okay.
Been a subscriber for many years and enjoy the laughter and great stories. We don't need him.
Sorry. We'll start over in a second. It's just the guys razz his ass all the time up in the shop. They're like, oh, here comes the star of Tech Tuesday. Or he'll be up at the service drive and customer, oh, hey, Chuck, how you doing? Hey, Chuck.
Oh, I just had a gentleman come in yesterday. Father Chuck.
Yeah. So it's a great acknowledgement and it's great engagement with you guys. So we are having fun and it really means a lot. So
it does.
Thank you for that. Okay, start all over. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll skip to the next part.
Yes,
Been a subscriber for many years and enjoy the laughter and great stories of Corvette enthusiasts. I am from north of the border in Toronto. I have a 2019 Grand Sport and would like to know if it's okay to put the Mobil 1 530 instead of the 040 that GM switched in 2019. I do not track the car except for some spirited driving every so often. Thank you. Keep up the great content, Gary.
That's kind of a do you find that kind of a strange question, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would probably leave the 040 in if it was me.
I think it's a great value story that Chevy did that, and I think it gives you more flexibility as an owner, whether you are or aren't driving in intense conditions, hot heat conditions. I think the 040 is great, even if you don't track the car. If you live in like Nevada, Arizona, Texas.
Well, but he borders Ontario, so he's living up in the north in the cold.
But he's not in the heat conditions. But I think that oil is going to serve you better. Don't worry too much about that. A different question, good question, but I don't think you have anything to be concerned about.
No, I would probably leave the 040 in it. But like you said, he is up in northern, so you're getting the 40 degrees when it's cold, 0 when it's hot, so I would probably leave the 40 weight. Yeah, I'd leave the 040 in it.
Okay. Thanks for watching the channel.
Will it hurt anything? I doubt it, but my recommendation would leave the 040 in it.
Yeah, there's nothing to be worried about there. Here's a multi-part question here from Michael. Rick, big fan of the channel. You and Chuck have been watching for a couple of years now. The Tech Tuesdays are dynamite. Got a couple of questions regarding wheels and tires that you were running at pit race with your son recently. What wheels and tires were you guys using? Also, did you upgrade your brake pads and rotors with GM parts or aftermarket? And Rick, do you think that the stock summer tires that come on a Z51 is a good place to start for tracking? And I'm about to place an order for a 2023 Z51. The meatloaf color, everybody loves it ever since I'm teasing that. You better hurry, man, because this is the last year for it. I assume for another couple of months that's available for ordering, but man, you better get that allocation pulled real quick. He's talking about putting a racing stripe down the middle. Goes through the whole spec. Not positive yet on the interior colors just yet, but have fun with it, man. Definitely going to take the car to a track near me. I live in Delaware, and I'm going to run this car at least one time at Watkins Glen for the thrill of a lifetime. Well, don't forget, after you get your new car, you've got a year to use the track driving their cars at Ron Fellows, the Spring Mountain Motorsports, man. You got to do that. Big discounted price and a great education, so make sure you do that. Now, my first and only Vette to date is a 1966 Coupe, but I got rid of it in 1976, so I'm really stoked to get my hands on the C8. If I had some cash floating around, and I know how you feel, man, he goes, I'd get a Z06, just like you and I were talking the other day. Man, oh man, I was like a little kid again in that car we were getting ready to ship. So let's go back. Tires that I was using out there. My car, as we know, we've been talking about the experiences, and that's what I love sharing on the channel, is a non-Z51. I was fortunate to get a set of rims from a past customer, and I bought Z51 tires. I had Chuck put those on, put new sensors in there, so we have everything functioning on there. I didn't want any bells and whistles going off. So I used stock Z51 tires. My next tracking days, because I feel like I'm elevating my experience and in my ability just a little bit, I want to go to those Toyo RR8s. I like those for road course. For the low-speed autocross and the parking lots and the cones, I'll use the stock Z51 tires, and that is a really good place to start. As far as brakes and rotors, right now I'm indecisive. Number one, if I get the replacement car, that's 90%. That's what I want to do. If I'm going to stay with stock rotors and brake pads, if anything, I probably will upgrade the brake pads. I think that I need to, even though the Z51 is not much difference, but it is a little bit bigger.
Right.
It's more about the cooling and the gearing that the Z51 is going to bring to the table for me. But yeah, I probably will. But again, it depends on you, the level of tracking that you're going to be doing and how frequently you're going to be doing it. And that's what I have to determine in my schedule. It's hard to actually have a life in the retail business right now. So how much I have to look at, I was going to buy a trailer, but how much tracking am I actually going to be doing at the high speed stuff? Sure. I want to do more. It's 3 hours away. That pit race is just, in my tunnel vision. I want to do that track at least 3 times this year, and if that's the only track I'm able to do at high speed, then I'm going to be real excited. I know Mid-Ohio's close and Nelson Ledges, but that track, there's just something about that track. And did he ask something else that I missed about?
One point I want to make here, there's a trade-off.
Please do.
That if you do upgrade your brakes to aftermarket braking pads for the track, there's a trade-off that they will be noisy. Yeah. Because they are a harder pad and only live in an environment where you are doing high-speed tracking with tremendously hard braking. That's when they're made to perform.
They have a little bit more metallic in it, and that's the squeaking that you're hearing sometimes in those?
Yes, they make them a harder pad with more metallic in them to last longer. But there's always that trade-off.
So I got some things, and you got some things to consider, but the first thing you got to do, man, is get your car ordered and get that darn thing, and then, yes, have some fun. So thanks again for all the questions and watching the channel. We do appreciate it.
All right, this one comes from Williams. It says, howdy. I look forward to the vlog and Tech Tuesday. My 2022 HTC has developed a rattle in the roof area when I'm driving down the road and encounter a bit patchy road. Any ideas, suggestions, what might be and how to fix it? I haven't encountered one yet with a rattle in the roof.
Wait a minute.
What?
I thought you were going to answer that the way that you answered it before we went on air.
I know.
See, he's a chicken. You know what he said? He goes, well, stay off the bumpy roads. I said, oh my God, you sound like Father John. So, sorry, but that's what he did.
That's off-camera stuff.
But now it's on. All right, here you go.
But no, I checked for bulletins. There's no current bulletins for rattles in the roof on these new HTCs. Other than taking it in and having it checked at the dealer, I really don't have any idea.
See if something's loose, maybe.
Right.
Chuck and I were talking before we actually went on, seriously, and thought, well, is it, which I've done a couple of times already with the dielectric grease on the moldings, where dust and everything gets in there, and sometimes you get a squeaking. So a squeaking really isn't a rattle. So it's hard to determine really what you're hearing or if you're describing it that way. So if you're hearing a squeaking or rubbing, it could be if you open up that and look at your moldings all around that back window, all along the top of the windshield, over the door area where the window is. And if it's really dirty, clean that, put that dielectric grease on there or something to moisten up those moldings, and that'll probably get rid of it if that's what it is.
Well, yeah, and I mean, GM talks about the itching of the dry moldings.
Itching, yeah.
That can sound like a rattle because the rubber gets stuck, and then when you hit a bump, it moves, and you go, oh, was that a rattle? When really it was just the weather strip moving. So,
right.
Yeah. So
hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you watching.
this one comes from Bob. Says, I've enjoyed the channel for the past year or so. Look, lots of good information. I recently took to deliver my 2023 HTC with the 70th anniversary package.
Nice.
What a beautiful car. It certainly is.
Yeah.
It's my third Corvette, C6, C7, and now a C8. I've noticed the rear view camera in the mirror is slightly crooked, with picture attached. My OCD is driving me nuts. Is there any way I can adjust it without having to take it to the dealer? I looked this up, and there is no adjustment. The camera just fits in the socket, and then there's a bracket that goes in behind it to hold it with 2 bolts. So I really don't think there's an adjustment per se.
Maybe the camera itself is actually mounted in there. It could be, and we saw the picture. I'll show you the picture, guys, on the screen here, but it's off by, what, a millimeter or 2?
Right.
Yeah,
it's not much.
Yeah, so maybe the only adjustment you can do is actually get into where the camera is mounted on top of the car and adjust it some way. It's almost like the head-up display will get people to say, hey, can I move that left or right? You know, kind of lean it. No, you can rotate the head-up display, but you cannot move it left to right. So same type of thing with the camera. As Chuck said, there is no way to adjust what you're talking about. You can adjust it up and down and zoom in and out through your mirror controls, but what you're asking for, no, there's no adjustment for. So probably check the positioning. If it's bothering you that much, the Corvette OCD, which we understand.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, sometimes it's better to leave well enough alone, but you decide and you do you.
All right, this one comes from Richard. It says, Rick from Illinois. I'm sorry. Delivery 2 weeks ago after 20 months of waiting for my Red Mist HTC made easier watching, learning, and fantasizing with your videos.
Thank you.
You made me fall in love with my first ever Corvette. Thank you. Now all I need is some subsign. My dealer has advised me to set the parking brakes each time prior to putting the transmission into park. What are your and Chuck thoughts? Thank you for using your time to share the C8. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't know, unless you're parking on an incline. I mean, they have the transmission is just like, even though it's a manual shift transmission, it has a parking pawl in it to catch.
Right. You park it on an incline, it's probably going to set itself anyways.
Right.
If you notice sometimes once you get comfortable with the car and you pull into the driveway and you turn the car off and you may be opening the door just a little bit faster than normal before everything's actually stopped, and all of a sudden you hear,
yeah,
and that's the parking brake engaging. It's doing it on its own. So as far as you manually doing it, hitting this underneath each and every time, I don't really see a need.
Yeah, no, I don't know why they would advise you of that, but unless they know something I don't.
You got another one?
Yeah, I've got another one.
He does have another one.
This comes from Mike. Says, I've been a fan of you and Chuck since the reveal of the C8.
Cool.
Finally got my C8 from Morgan Crosby. Deposit put down 2020, delivered June 2022. Okay. Question. I have a non-Z51 with performance exhaust, and yesterday was the first time I heard the air inlet behind the driver's door running after I turned the vehicle off.
We've had this before.
Yeah, air was there, so I figured the engine was hot and was cooling down now. It eventually turned off. I was driving a bit aggressively in Z mode, but nothing too extreme. The temperature outside was approximately 80 degrees Fahrenheit. When should the fans come on, and is it normal for the fans to run after the vehicle has been turned off? I really hope this question airs next Tuesday. Again, love watching your videos and love how you and Chuck work together. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if there's criteria for those fans to run when the car's shut down, it will run. There's no set time or how long or when.
Right.
Just when you shut the car down, the computers look at all the data, and if it sees that it needs to cool that car down a little bit after you shut it off, the fans are going to come on and run until it's satisfied that it's cool enough and then turn off.
I don't mean to seem like a space cadet. I mean, I was listening, but I wasn't hearing you. So I started talking. I was like, cuckoo. Did he say he was doing some spirited driving, though?
Yes, in Z mode.
Okay,
in Z mode.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
There you go. That's exactly why they come on. So after you're doing spirited driving or long drives in hot conditions, and when you park the car and they're not on, that's when you got to be concerned.
Well, you don't even necessarily have to be doing spirited driving, or
You can take it up the street a mile and just accelerate real hard and then park it right away. They're going to come on.
Well, you could be stuck in stop and go traffic and the car's getting hot and you shut it off.
Sure.
I mean, like I said, the car as a whole, the car looks itself as a whole and monitors everything. And if it decides that those fans need to be on for a period of time, it turns them on.
Yeah.
And if not, then it don't. So, I mean, it's not like when do you think they'll come on? When the car meets the criteria that they need to be on.
It's kind of fun talking about the tracking stuff. Going back to when Ryan and I were at Pit Race, we would get off our session. Those fans were running, and they were running for a while, but they were doing their job. I mean,
Sure.
I think those damn things ran for like 10 minutes. You know, we had like a 20-minute break before the next time, and I'm like, you know, come on, I want it to cool down before he goes back out. And we came back 10 minutes later, and they're still running. It's like, oh my gosh. But they turned off in time for him to get back out on track. So they're doing their job, so don't be concerned with that whatsoever.
Sure, and that is a cool feature, but like I said, you're driving on the track, met the criteria, turn the fan on. The car determined how long it needed to run those fans to cool the car back down.
Sure.
So that when it come time to go back out on the track, you and the car was ready.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this Tech Tuesday. And I said, we'll do a Tech Tuesday when we can. And I'm really trying to focus on that the best we can through both he and I's busy schedule. We're getting a ton of emails, so that's why I want to try and share what we can.
Sure.
And we take 15, 20 minutes and do this, and I'll go ahead and edit after hours. And it means a lot that the audience, our customers, and our friends really tune in just to hear some feedback. And sometimes they'll just pick up. It could be just that one little thing that you pick up that maybe nobody talks about. And that's why we'll talk about your concerns, but we'll do it in a realistic manner, not out of page such and such, 35B section blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, you read that to me, but what the hell does it mean? we're just talking, you know? And I think it's, you know, it's just like a bunch of guys sitting around in a garage talking about this, talking about that.
Sure.
And that's what we enjoy doing. So thanks for watching, guys. We really do appreciate it. Support this channel. It's absolutely free. Got a freaking email address? Okay, great. Go to Google, create a Google account with any email address, and then go into my channel, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification, make comments down below. Chuck and I love hearing from you guys. He's starting to get into this because now he's reading the comments.
Well, and it's great because then you don't have to worry about did a video load. It notifies you. Bing!
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just click on it and watch it if you or when you got time. It's nice.
Now, if you haven't been here before, what we like to do at the end of a Tech Tuesday, rather than talking about cars, we like to show off cars. What we have for you now is
Your beautiful rides.
yeah, check these out, man.
If I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you hindsight is fleeting when your heart's bleeding and all you can see is red, till you discover it is within each other to forgive and make amends. If I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said what I said. I took the long road, thought I'd be better on my own. Sometimes what's right is wrong instead. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you were the one. And I can't wait to see you again. Oh, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. 'Cause I was too young, and I didn't understand that you